In Congress today, the Respect for Child Survivors Act was passed by the House. It originated in the Senate, sponsored by Senator Chris Coons, Democrat from Delaware, Senator John Cornyn, Republican from Texas, Senator Lindsey Graham, Republican of South Carolina, and Senator Amy Klobuchar, Democrat from Minnesota. The bill was developed in response to the FBI's mishandling of the Larry Nassar investigation. Senator Coons said of the bill, "We have a duty to ensure that survivors and witnesses to sexual assault are heard and respected, especially when they come forward to law enforcement to report abuse. Unfortunately, mishandled or repeated interviews can too often re-traumatize survivors. The bipartisan, bicameral response for Child Survivors Act will reduce poorly conducted interviews during investigations of child abuse and sexual exploitation by requiring the FBI to use multidisciplinary teams of trained professionals. I'm proud to see this head to the President's desk for signature, and I hope it will protect survivors and encourage more to come forward." Senator Cornyn commented, "The FBI has a sworn obligation to protect victims who report child abuse, and that extends to agents' interviews with vulnerable child witnesses. This legislation requires the FBI to include trauma-informed experts in interviews with victims to assure they are not re-traumatized during the interview process, and I urge President Biden to swiftly sign it into law." When asked, Senator Graham said, "I applaud Senator Cornyn's leadership on this issue to correct an egregious wrong committed by certain FBI agents regarding their treatment of victims of sexual abuse. Requiring the FBI to use appropriate, tried-and-true methods to interview child victims will ensure the FBI's failures in the Nassar case doesn't happen again. Our legislation makes it clear we expect better." And of it, Senator Klobuchar said, "As we work to support survivors of child sexual abuse and trafficking, we need to provide law enforcement with the training and skills they need to investigate these crimes and help victims. Our bipartisan legislation will ensure law enforcement officers can partner with child advocacy centers to use the most effective techniques when conducting these critical investigations." During a Senate Judiciary Committee hearing examining the Inspector General's report on the FBI's handling of the Larry Nassar investigation last year, retired gymnast and survivor Michaela Maroney, among others, shared striking testimony of how she was treated by the FBI personnel who interviewed her. The bill will require the FBI to use multidisciplinary teams when investigating child sexual abuse cases, child sexual abuse material cases, and child trafficking cases, including in situations where the interviewed victim is no longer a child. The bill passed the Senate by unanimous consent. On December 22nd, when the House voted on it, the final vote was 385 to 28. Why would 28 representatives vote to basically try and give child molesters a Christmas present? It will make the evidence-gathering phase of an investigation far less traumatizing to the victims, like the girls who were competing in the Miss Teen USA pageant when Donald Trump decided that since he owned the pageant, he could walk through the backstage changing areas while the girls were in the middle of changing outfits back in 1997. Nobody will probably ever know the answer to that question, but all the 28 Republicans who voted against it are card-carrying members of the Creep-in-Chief Trump fan club. Following are the states they represent, their House portraits, and how long they have served. You might want to remember these faces anytime you have a child who is anywhere near them.